What do you think about the fit for Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh? I mean, it's different.
I have mixed feelings on this because you have a team in the Steelers that they succeeded throwing the ball downfield, throwing the deep ball downfield to George Pickens last year with Russell Wilson. He was actually the highest graded deep passer in the league for us last year, right? And Aaron Rodgers really saw a lot less effectiveness than he's used to throwing the ball downfield, really checking down a lot, throwing a lot of slants and letting things happen after the catch. So I think you maybe have a different style of quarterback with Rodgers than you would with Wilson, although you have the same style of receivers with Metcalf and some other guys who want to get vertical. So there is a different style. What I'm worried about more so with Rodgers is this new lack of mobility, obviously with him being in his 40s now and the Steelers really being in flux at their offensive tackle spots. He's not as mobile as Russell Wilson, obviously. I'm in between on this. I think it could be a good fit if they're looking to make their offense more efficient and move the chains more often, but they might lose some of that explosiveness that they had with Wilson and Pickens, for as odd as that sounds.
So another stop in the AFC North, the Bengals. So Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals are now talking. Not sure how well that's going. And Shamar Stewart is a contract mess with the rookie. What are your thoughts about those two? Do they get done? And that defense, it looks like it's challenged a little.
Yeah, it certainly was last year. They played better down the stretch, than their 5-game winning streak they ended the season with. But I think Stewart gets figured out eventually. There's a lot of posturing with this, and who knows what kind of precedent the agent and maybe even the players using it is trying to set with this, with voiding guarantees and things like that. But I think, look, we haven't seen a rookie negotiation this tense in a while, and I think that'll get settled before, the season starts, obviously. Hendrickson, I'm not as sure on because there's been reports about the Bengals preferring a 1-year contract with Hendrickson and then figuring it out later next offseason once again. Obviously, Hendrickson wants long-term security on top of money up front for the production he's given him for 4 years. So that one might drag a little bit closer to the season. If I had to bet, I think Stewart gets done before Hendrickson, but Trey could take it right down to the wire at week 1 there. We saw it last year with the 49ers with Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk not showing up basically until the week before week 1 started. Trey could be in the same situation because if they were going to trade him, it feels like they would have done it by now. I think they're going to figure something out for him to play this year, but I don't know about beyond that.
Same thing with T.J. Watt. That was another one. I would imagine that gets done sooner rather than later, but why hasn't it?
Look, it's these edge rusher markets right now with the money that Myles Garrett got, and you've got this weird triangle of big name edge rushers, right? Hendrickson, Watt, and Micah Parsons out in Dallas too. Each one of these guys is going to want to reset the market, right? Parsons has been elite throughout his career. Watt's been elite throughout his career. Hendrickson just led the league in sacks last year and has been spectacular the last 4 years. I mean, you're talking about elite guys that are almost playing chicken with each other, going, okay, who's going to sign for $41 million? Who's going to sign for $42 million? Who's going to be the next highest paid guy after what Myles Garrett just got, right? And just the explosive amount of money that edge rushers have been getting lately. So I do think it feels like it's not just within each team. It's that each one is waiting for the other, but they're all going to set some sort of one or two of them are going to set a record with the money they're about to make. I think Parsons especially, but there's a lot of factors that go into it, especially with Watt being a little bit older, but I think that's going to get done probably even sooner than Hendrickson.
So Ravens signed Jaire Alexander. If they can keep him on the field, how good of a signing is that? And are the Ravens kind of a notch above everybody in the AFC North now?
I would say so. I mean, they certainly were last year. They proved it last year with the way they beat on the Steelers in the playoffs, and obviously the Bengals and Browns missing the postseason. But this Alexander signing is really good if he's healthy. When he's on the field, he's still very, very good. I don't know if he's a top 10 corner, but he's probably top 20. And when you look at what it does for their secondary and the improvement of their secondary down the stretch last year was the biggest reason they really went on that big run in the second half and won all those games and eventually lost in the divisional. But you look at Jaire Alexander, you look at Malachi Starks, the first-round pick coming in, it looks like as long as they're healthy, their secondary is complete once again. They lost Brandon Stevens in free agency. Ardarius Washington tore his Achilles in the spring, so they lost a starter there, but they have Starks to replace him. You look at their front five and their secondary, if Alexander's healthy, they could be really, really good again.
What about Lamar Jackson? It's got to be confounding for the Ravens. Regular season is great, and then you get into the playoffs, and he doesn't look like the same guy.
Sometimes you just have to break through. And just one of these years, you have to break through. I remember all those conversations about Peyton Manning back in the day, right? And it took him, 9 years, I think it was, to win a Super Bowl himself. So I think Jackson, one of these years, it feels like it just has to break right. Even this past one, right? He struggled early in the game, but he brought him down. And then Mark Andrews drops a 2-point conversion. And who knows where it would have gone from overtime from there and how they would have played the Chiefs the next week in Philly. But you just have to keep taking swings at it, right? Front offices and head coaches, they say it all the time. Keep taking swings. You have one of the elite quarterbacks in football. He's a future Hall of Famer. You got a future Hall of Famer in Derrick Henry. You've got a good defense. Just keep rolling with the talent you have and taking more swings. Eventually, it feels like he's going to break through. We just got to wait for that to happen.